Welcome, folks, to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. This is Forensics Friday, and we are welcoming in everyone from across the globe. We give thanks and praise to all of you guys for everything that you do. And if you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so you'll get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace when we go live or upload another video. That guy right over there. Tonight, we are going to be talking about all things 3D laser scanner. We're going to talk about the crime scene at on the King Road crime scene. We're going to talk about what they use technology-wise. We have a really special guest. We're going to introduce him in a few minutes. But before we get into it, I want to say thank you to you, the Patreon supporters, the channel members, the subscribers, and all of the folks who positively engage in these live streams. You guys are what makes this a great place. And Ed and I are so thankful for your support and your engagement. It means the world to us, and we thank you. Ed, how you doing tonight?
Oh, boy. You know, it's like just when you thought it was safe to go down YouTube, we're back. Yeah. This is like the third show this week, right? Third or fourth show we did?
It's not only our third or fourth show, Ed. It's our third show in a row consecutively. Oh. So we had our forensic genealogist. We had our criminal defense attorney last night, and now we're bringing to you Forensic Friday. Listen, you know, there's so much going on with Brian Kohlberger. He stands accused of murdering innocent until proven guilty our four victims, Ethan, Zana, Kaylee, and Madison. You know, this case is moving forward. The long arm of the law has reached out and grabbed the suspect, and he's in custody and waiting to go through the judicial process. But what we want to bring to you tonight is some of the forensics and some of the things that were used. And Ed, I mean, I'll let you take it from here because we spoke about this in previous live streams. We talked about crime scene. I asked you outright, you walk the audience through what you would do if you were on this case, and you talked about this immediately. So I'm going to let you just tell us.
Oh, yeah, folks. So as you know, I spoke about this earlier. We in forensics, we took this technology from surveyors, engineers, architects that have been using it for quite some time, and we brought it into the world of forensics, and we got it approved by a Dalbert hearing and by a Fry hearing. And this technology is used worldwide and accepted in courts around the world, including the United States. So we do 3D laser scans of our crime scenes. Now, I first started with the 3D laser scans at the New York City Medical Examiner's Office when our special investigation team, through a grant through the Department of Homeland Security, got a 3D laser scanner. Then I brought it into my training at Louisiana State University for the Department of Homeland Security Advanced Forensics for Hazardous Environments course. And now we just updated our scanners for that course, and that's where our guest comes in, because he was a pivotal part of bringing Faro into my Louisiana State University Forensic Science training course. And he actually helped us at a pilot that we did in Massachusetts. And so anyhow, what it is is a device that we put on a tripod and that we put into crime scenes, and it will rotate in 360 degrees and take millions and millions of measurements, creating a cloud image of the entire crime scene. Wow. And we're going to walk you through this process. In fact, we got a little video, so why don't we show them that, and that will lead us into where we're going to go.
100%, Ed. Let's rock and roll with this video, because this gives you a great depiction of our next guest that we're going to bring on, and the products and the capabilities of what this can do for a crime scene investigator and also for a prosecutor in a court of law. So this stuff is admissible in a court of law. So it's a great tool, and we're going to play it for you guys now.
New clue in the stabbing death. Possible new clue in the stabbing deaths of 4 University of Idaho students. Investigators in Moscow now looking at new surveillance video from a business in town as they continue focusing on that white car seen near the murder scene. Senior national correspondent Brian Entin joins us live now. Brian, we found out about this new surveillance video yesterday. Are they any closer to catching this killer?
Literally.
I had it queued up and it went back to the beginning. So let me start it right where we wanted to play.
We have a footprint right here by the door.
A murder scene typically so frenzied, so complex.
If you get them the right direction,
Clues literally everywhere.
we have some blood transfer by the window.
At this mock crime scene at Florida International University's Global Forensic and Justice Center outside Tampa, police, military, and students learn the intricacies of preserving and processing a homicide.
A large number of cartridge cases here.
They also learn about this 3D imaging that can take what would be a simple crime scene photo and replace it with this, a movable 3D model, enshrining minute details forever.
So if we're talking about LiDAR scanning of scenes, they call it 3D imaging because it gives you a 3D representation of the room.
The Forensic Center's Deputy Executive Director, Kevin Lothridge, has investigators train with a handheld Faro brand scanner. It takes rapid laser measurements, creating an interactive 360-degree image that's even admissible in court.
It's really good for large outdoor crime scenes, good for vehicle crashes, good for shooting reconstruction. If you're trying to look at a room where people are positioned and evidence is positioned, it allows you to do a little bit more than just videotape or photography.
To be clear, this isn't just 360-degree spherical photography that you see for a real estate tour or on tourism sites. Forensic 3D imaging takes not only pictures, but countless measurements each second.
Thousands, like millions of points are taken in a point cloud.
Crime scene investigations professor Stephen Stockman says the technology can take detectives back in time, helpful when the overlooked becomes critical.
That piece of evidence that you didn't see that was significant is now in the point cloud here a year later. How far away is that from the victim's hand? And you can literally go into the software and click to the index finger of the victim to the exact piece of evidence, and then you'll get the exact measurement down to the millimeter.
All right.
Fascinating. Ed, I'm telling you, I'm always amazed by this technology. And that piece that we just saw there is just mind blowing because the sky's the limit with this. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, so folks, we have for you today Luke Hall. And Luke spent nearly a decade with the Vermont State Police, working through the ranks from trooper to detective, and eventually he was the patrol commander of the Rutland and Shaftesbury Barracks. In addition to his normal duties, Luke was selected to be a member of the Vermont State Police Major Crime Unit's Crime Scene Search Team, which is a special team that's activated to process all major crime scenes across Vermont. So your homicides, your suspicious deaths, things of that nature. Luke has extensive experience utilizing the Faro's 3D laser scanners and forensic software to document and reconstruct crime scenes. Later resulted in him accepting a position at Faro Public Safety and Forensics. He is an expert for them, and he's the Northeast Regional representative for them, and he has assisted me in training with my Louisiana State University forensics course. And without further ado, let's bring on Luke.
Luke, thank you so much for joining Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. We are honored to have you here tonight, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate being on.
Hey, I know Ed was pretty thorough, but if you could, for our audience, there's some 23 building and 2,400 listeners right now. Just give them a brief background on, what got you into this and how we led here to Faro.
Yeah. So like Ed said, I worked with the Vermont State Police for years. I was on the crime scene search team, which is it's a part of our major crime unit. Any major crime that happens in the state of Vermont, they respond to, they document and process the scene, and then later reconstruct it. So you name it, from homicides, officer-involved shootings, suspicious deaths, fatal crashes. They respond to everything and assist with those investigations. So that was my experience in law enforcement. That led me to utilizing Faro solutions on those scenes. So we used 3D laser scanners and software to reconstruct them. So I got a lot of experience with that. And then just 2 years ago, I came to Faro, and now I'm the Northeast account manager for them. So I assist any and all law enforcement across from New York to Maine. And I not only help them secure these 3D laser scanners and software, but I also help them if they have a major incident and they need help and they need someone to come in and kind of provide them some assistance and guidance. I do that on a regular basis.
Yeah, so I met Luke through a mutual friend of mine who's also an instructor that I brought on to teach with me at Louisiana State University. He's an active Boston PD crime scene investigator named Mike Connolly. In fact, funny you should bring that up, because after they had the bombing in Boston, they didn't have any scanners at that time, but we did. So we offered to come to Boston and scan their scenes for them, but the FBI took care of that, so we didn't have, we volunteered to come and do that for them, but they didn't need us. So, but with that said, Luke, why don't you tell the audience the basics of the scanner, how it's used, what it's used for, and what it can do for crime scene investigators?
And before you go into that, Luke, I wanted to just ask you outright, because everybody that's here and that's watching, they're interested in this King Road homicide. These 4 college students who were brutally slain on November 13th of 2022. With this technology that we're talking about, that was used at that location?
Yeah. So I'm not in the particular on that particular scene. I would imagine it was on virtually all major crime scenes now, especially in the US, 3D laser scanners are being utilized. I do know that we have many 3D scanners in the state of Idaho. I don't know the particulars of that, but I would imagine they were being used.
Yes, and the chief of police gave during a press conference, he talked about the amount of evidence that was taken, how many photographs were taken. He also said there were 3D laser scans taken of the entire crime scene.
All right, so take it from there, Luke.
Okay, so the basics of utilizing 3D laser scanners is to, capture more data, more accurate data, and more data. Those are the 2 biggest things. So you could set up a 3D laser scanner in any scene, whether it be an indoor scene, an outdoor scene. It could be raining or snowing or good weather. It doesn't matter, or day or night. And you can quickly and accurately document that crime scene. So for instance, I would go into a scene, and if I want to capture this scene, I would set up a 3D laser scanner on a tripod, and I would then walk out of that scene. The scanner would then spin around in a circle. It's going to be capturing GPS coordinates, and it's going to be leveling itself out. And then it's going to go around again, and it's going to capture approximately 2 million measurable points per second. And it's going to reconstruct that scene virtually into a perfect 3D model. And then it's going to go around a 3rd time and capture high definition photographs, 68, as it goes around in 360 degrees. So essentially, for every crime scene, you could take several scans throughout it and quickly and accurately document the entire scene, so that 2 years later, you could walk a jury through that scene virtually. Or you could go back in as your investigation evolves. If you learn something else that might be important, you could go back into that crime scene virtually and do measurements and reanalyze.
So right now you're running a scan in the background. Everybody see the scanner on a tripod behind Luke? And it's running a scan. Now he has it at a specific height, but it can only scan and measure what it sees. So if like the table blocks what's underneath the table, he can then lower the tripod from in that same position and take an additional scan, and then he can merge those scans together later on the back end software. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep, that's exactly what you want to do through a scene. You would move the scanner throughout the scene so that you don't miss any part of it. The scanner needs to be able to see it, and those laser beams leave the scanner, bounce off from every object, and come right back to that scanner.
Okay. Wow. So that's millions and millions of points of measurements. Because when we used to do crime scenes, we would have to all do a 2-dimensional sketch of the crime scene, whether it was an interior crime scene or an exterior crime scene, and then take a lot of measurements using tape measures, or later on we had infrared measuring devices, and then we went to sonar. We had sonar measuring devices. We had all different types of measuring devices, and then this finally is the top of the pinnacle for documenting crime scenes.
Yeah, and I feel your pain. The days of hand measurements are over. Thank gosh.
Yeah,
I had many a nights doing that, but now at least you could walk into that scene, capture data faster and much more accurately. Instead of human error, now you're within a millimeter of accuracy on every single point.
Yeah, and you create this cloud, which people actually think the cloud is a photograph, but it's not. It's just the dense amount of measurements that were taken, and it looks like a photograph. And Luke is going to walk us through that. He's going to show us what some of these scans actually look like.
And I'm going to tell you something, Luke. Ed, because he had to do the drawings and his diagrams by hand, he became an architect behind it. So
no, that was before it.
Well,
but then,
Ed, you may or may not appreciate now the software actually does the overview maps for you, the diagram from the scan. So the days of sketching are over.
Yeah, I want you to show them all of this and how time consuming that was and how fast it is now.
Now, I'm fascinated, Luke, by this technology for many different reasons, as being a retired law enforcement professional detective with the NYPD, and all of my brothers and sisters across not only the United States, but the globe for that matter. Is this technology being used internationally?
It is. Yeah, we have thousands and thousands just in the US, but across the globe, we have tens of thousands of public safety professionals using 3D laser scanners to document their scenes, whether it be a crime scene, fatal crash, fatal fire, pre-incident planning to try to protect schools, things like that.
Officer-involved shootings?
Yes.
Absolutely. Anything with shooting reconstruction and bloodstain pattern analysis, accident reconstruction. In fact, if you can go way back to Princess Di's tragic car accident, that was laser scan.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. How well is this applied in an indoor situation where, like the King Road homicides, where it was a 6-bedroom home, but it was such a odd layout. It was a first floor, 2 bedrooms, second floor, 2 bedrooms, kitchen, living area, third floor, bedrooms. You just simply take this device or multiple devices and go to each floor and take all your imaging, and then you have it.
Yep, exactly. So multi-level buildings, multi-rooms, indoor to outdoor scanning, all that is no problem for today's current 3D laser scanners. What it does is one, it starts out with GPS coordinates. It locks in its location, where this crime scene occurred, right? But then after that, every scan thereafter, it's going to overlap with prior data that it captured. And it's going to snap together as you're doing those scans throughout that scene. So by the time you're done scanning that entire house, it's going to be a 3D model. You're going to have all that data that you need, and it's going to be highly accurate and the exact depiction of the layout of that residence.
Wow. Fascinating. Hey, Tara G in our chat, our chat's almost swelled to 3,000. Tara G says, I'm listening with my husband who works for the state police, and he went from laughing at me to listening to these live chats with me, and now sitting in bed listening to this because he's fully interested in this.
All right. Very good. Very good. So, I love it. Love excellent. It. So what else?
Hold on a second, Ed. Lulu in the chat says highly accurate, but not 100%. Luke, can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I'm happy to. And this comes up all the time when I go out and meet and give demonstrations to departments and district attorneys' offices and everywhere. So the way I like to think about it is you're going to, at the end of every scan, you're going to have an error rate associated with it, right? So when you go into that Dauber hearing or that Fry hearing, it's going to be a highly accurate data that has been true, tried, and tested, right? And then additionally, if you think of traditional methods like hand measurements or total stations or whatever, you name it, right?
The wheel.
This is going to be far, far more accurate than traditional methods of capturing that data. So I think we're making a lot of improvements. Will it ever be, within a micrometer of it? No, right? It's going to be, right now it's within a millimeter of accuracy, which I think is really impressive.
And it's admissible in court too, correct?
It is.
Yeah, it's all over. It's a forensic standard internationally now. Now, what we do with this is, like, before we do a scene, we set up and do a quality control test on the scanner. So we'll set up a known distance and we'll scan out to that distance, and then we'll document that, check the measurement, and then we'll do the scans inside of our crime scenes. And then at the end, we redo that scan of the quality control scan to show that there's no deviation between the first quality control scan and the last one, and that the measurements are on. But, it's going to have a tolerance. It's going to be sub-millimeter accurate.
Yeah. Exactly. And we make devices, NIST certified devices that you could place in your scene.
Exactly.
And as long as you capture that device as a part of that scene, that is your scale bar. That's your reference.
Right. It's a pole that we put on a tripod. It has 2 target points on it. And that target point from center to center is a known measurement. And so that's how we keep things on the up and up.
Let me let the folks know here in the audience as well. At the end, last 15 minutes, we're going to take a Q&A, live Q&A, where you guys can ask us your questions. So if you have any questions related to this 3D laser scanner, the scanning technology, you hold it towards the end of the show, and we will highlight your questions. Just put in the comments, #Luke or #Ed or #Ron, and we'll gladly answer your questions. Kim M2, thank you for the super sticker, and to anyone else that we might have missed.
All right. So Luke, why don't you walk them through a scan?
Sure. Sounds good. I'm going to start with just let me share my screen here.
And Luke is technologically advanced because he's sharing screens. He's a bad
It's a bad mamma jamma.
I had to believe it because this is a family channel.
Let's hope that it works out. So this is actually, can you guys see my screen?
I can see this. You shared your own screen. So that's.
Yeah, you got to go to the window.
Yeah,
Okay.
I see it.
Okay.
You got to go. So present.
Yep. Just give me 1 second here. I'm going to go back to present, share screen, and
Window.
All
right, and then open up.
And select the one that you want.
Yep. Okay. Well, let me get out of these quickly because it's not populating.
Okay.
Stand by. It'll take it just a minute.
So Ed, I want to just go to you quickly too here. There's been some movement today at the crime scene. They were moving out some more stuff. I think we saw some mattresses and so forth being removed at the King Road homicide location. Any thoughts on that? Again, I didn't see it myself, but I saw a couple of emails coming in and people were asking me about my thoughts on it. The crime scene is to be held until February 1st and then beyond that. But just wanted to see if you had any thoughts on that, or did you see that at all?
Yeah, I would have, if the mattresses contain evidence and so forth, I would have probably had that after it was scanned, measured, and all, brought it to the lab to have it analyzed at the lab. And then, you would look to see if the mattresses had any knife damage. Because we know it was horrific stabbings in here and so forth. The pillows, the bedding, the mattress.
Right.
I've done this before. I've taken, I reconstructed a shooting where the husband claimed it was postpartum depression and the wife committed suicide when in fact he murdered her. And a shot went through the mattress and into the box spring. And I took the whole bed and brought it back to the lab and did the reconstruction. It doesn't surprise me that they're taking it.
Okay. Yeah, because it was a court order that I'm reading here, and it was dated I believe the 30th of December. And it states that basically the court having before it the defendant's motion is this motion by the defense for the crime scene and the evidence to be there'll be no objections through the courts. It's hereby ordered that the crime scene located at 1122 King Road, Moscow, Idaho, including the home and outbuildings and trailers, vehicles, and such be preserved, which means that the house will be locked. Crime scene tape will remain. On-site police presence is no longer required. The crime scene will remain preserved until February 1st, 2023, or until further order of the court. It's further ordered that all samples and evidence collected or generated by the state in this matter, including but not limited to bodily fluids, tissues, notes, slides, photographs, or other relevant information, be held and preserved by the state for the defense. So this is the order coming from the defense. It's further ordered that this order shall remain in effect until further notice, and it was dated 12/30/22 at 3:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's when we saw the crime scene cleaning crew get backed out of there, even before this thing was put out. And the question came in from our audience is, if that order was put in place December 30th, why today, January 6th?
I don't even know. I don't even know the reason why some of that verbiage is in there, because by law you have to give these things to the defense. It's, you know, if it's evidence, it's going to the defense in discovery.
Yeah.
But anyhow,
it's confusing. All right, Luke's got his screen up. I wanted to address, I just wanted to visit that with you for a moment. Luke, can you just tell the audience what we're going to look at as I add it to the stream?
Yeah, absolutely. So this was a crime scene that was documented with a Faro 3D laser scanner. It is a shooting that occurred in a barbershop. Male was shot within the barbershop, and the responding police department had a Faro scanner and went in and scanned the entire barbershop to reconstruct it in a 3D model. Let's
put that disclaimer out there. This is not an open case, and this is not anything that would taint or this is for educational purposes. You use this during the presentation as well, right?
Absolutely.
Do we have it started from the beginning, Luke?
Yep, we can. I'm going to back it up.
Let's do that and bring it right in.
There we go. So this is what we call a fly-through video, right? It is a good representation or way to look at the entire scene as a whole. So this is a top-down view on the entire crime scene. So if the jury has a hard time, or the district attorney has a hard time visualizing what that scene looked like with regular traditional photos, you could play this video in court and they could see the entire scene and kind of get better spatial relations to where things occurred.
How closely can you scan in on that? Like, in other words, could you stop that and then scan in and the quality stays good?
Yeah. So in these fly-through videos, this is whatever path you choose to create it. So it could be a head height walkthrough of the facility. It could be an overhead like this. It could be whatever path you choose. Now, you cannot zoom in on this one, but in the scene to go, which is the shareable file that you create, that's where you can zoom in, zoom out, take specific measurements.
Can we pause this for a second?
Yeah. Can we stop that when it gets close? Like, I'd want to see a little bit closer up, because you actually see this is a real crime scene, right? This is not a recreation, correct?
That's correct.
Right. So there's a body on the floor right there in a pool of blood. And this is an active crime scene with the barbershop. It looks like the chairs are set up. Ed, you want to maybe expand on this, or anybody?
Yeah, folks, what you're looking at here, the scanner wasn't up this high. The scanner was in that scene. Okay. The scanner has the ability with the software to, cut the roof off, the ceiling off, and give you a perspective as from flying in from above. So that's what you're basically looking at here. And as the actual floor plan of this barbershop or this beauty salon, whatever it is there, it's rotating through it. And you can see what you're looking at is not a photograph. Okay. You may think that's a photograph, right? Luke, is this the cloud?
This is the cloud. That's why it looks kind of granular or grainy, because it's individual measurable points, millions and millions of them.
So you get the colors and you get the surfaces and you get the 3 dimensions of the cabinets and the mirrors and the sinks and the chairs and all that. But it's not a photograph. It's just the millions and millions of measurements put together.
That this 3D laser scanner from Faro, this is what it does at crime scenes.
Right.
Now, if they were to, like we know, they utilize this at the King Road homicide. Jurors will be able to, without going to the medical examiner's office, to the actual crime scene, be able to view this in the courtroom, and when they do their research and do their whatever they're going to be doing to make a decision on this case, they're going to be seeing these photographs in graphic detail. Correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
So if Luke wanted to, he could have taken this and then repositioned it so that it looks like somebody is walking into this location from the street right through the front door, and then walk around the counterclockwise or clockwise around the floor of this crime scene, and let you look at everything that was scanned.
Yeah. So with our current technology, you could have this model, right? All the jury members could put on VR goggles and virtually walk through the entire crime scene and analyze and inspect things by themselves.
Oh, that is unbelievable. We've come, someone said in the chat, we've come a long way. I didn't even know that. So that's amazing.
And one more thing I'd like to add too, in our Faro zone, you mentioned animation, right? You could walk through there, right? Well, now in Faro zone, you can literally animate or create an animation to show the person, the perpetrator here, the suspect, enter the way that they entered and fire those shots with trajectory paths to strike that individual.
Yes.
It's amazing.
And if you go back to that, if you could put that up again. So say you had over in the right-hand corner that there was a witness there, and the witness was hiding in between those two chairs and the table and what looks like a maroon brownish chair. And the witness was maybe a woman and she was squatting down. You can put you can take the Faro scan and then say, okay, and go into that corner and get the height of the woman's eyes from what her position would have been if she was kneeling, and show everybody what the woman could have seen from her perspective from that point.
Yep, we do that every day. So it's called witness perspective. So say you scan and document any scene. You have a car versus pedestrian fatal crash, and you have a witness that said, I saw this vehicle driving down the street, strike the pedestrian in this crosswalk. You want to figure out if they're credible, if they saw exactly what they saw. Well, if you scan that scene, you have these millions and millions of measurable data points to recreate the scene within a millimeter of accuracy. And you can literally place that person back in that scene in the exact position that they were in. And you could see if they actually saw what they did to corroborate their statement.
Right. So you're validating, or you're saying, oh, that's a lie. So,
Exactly.
Hey, folks, I wanted to bring this up real quick. I saw this here from Lulu. Parkland shooting case could have just used this right. Since you brought it up, one of the things that Luke does is he scans schools for school security purposes. Luke, why don't you tell them a little about that?
Yeah, this is a really exciting time, I think, for preventative efforts to protect our most vulnerable kids, right? So Faro has become entrenched in pre-incident planning and trying to prevent bad things from happening before they have to break out a 3D scanner for a mass casualty shooting or for a homicide or whatever. So now we're taking 3D laser scanners, we're mapping out schools or scanning schools, and we're recreating them. And then we're creating deliverables, meaning that we're creating a file, an easily accessible file for first responders to have immediate access to if they have to respond for a critical incident in their cruisers in the moment while they're en route. It's incredible to see the progress we made, and I'm excited for the future.
So what I'm showing is the Faro website. I'm going to link that down below in the description. But for those of you who are interested in this technology, and a lot of this does pertain to police across the country or police across the world, but it also it also could pertain to a lot of different industries. It's not just for police. I see this when I looked at this piece. I see it used in construction. I see it used in lots of various different applications. But it is unbelievable for the police. I'm going to go back to Luke's. You want to let that?
Now, you could see in Luke's scan here, there are several yellow evidence markers all over the place. Okay. Probably associated with ballistic forensic evidence. And if this in fact was a shooting. And normally what we would have to do is either rectangle coordinate plotting or triangulation plotting of those items of evidence, individual items. We would have to measure at right angles from opposite walls and then to the evidence and write all those things down. Now this technology gives us all those measurements without having to manually do all of that. And do you have a demonstration that you can show how you can click on and get the measurements?
I absolutely do. Yep. Let me stop sharing this screen, share a different one, and I will show everybody the current technology. All right. Present.
Ed, we talked about this so much. To see it actually be put into play and to hear somebody who's well versed in it, and I know you are as well, Ed, with those VR goggles, and to be actually virtually in the crime scene is just unbelievable. It's over the top. Are you ready, Luke?
And this is not Hollywood. This is not Hollywood, folks. This is now.
Mm-hmm. All right, what we're looking at here.
All right, so this is a home invasion gone wrong, right? Guy breaks into a house with a firearm and ends up getting shot. So this is a shareable file. This, I should start with, this scene was scanned with a Faro 3D laser scanner, and then it was brought into the scene software, and then this was created to present in court. So this is the actual case that went to court, or the case file, you should say.
Wow.
So this is a top-down scaled image on the exterior, the street. Let me zoom out a little bit. The street is right here. A little courtyard is here, and then
if you could roll your cursor, are you rolling the cursor on to the spots that you're mentioning?
Yep. So can you see the top down right now with these little bubbles on my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So if I click on this bubble, I can jump right into the crime scene.
Oh my gosh.
So this is a panoramic colorized images of this crime scene. And you'll see all the evidence markers all the way around, right? And you'll see the guy here on the floor. The amazing part about LiDAR or 3D scanners is right now we're looking at the high def pictures that this is taking, but directly behind the image is the black and white infrared laser scanner data, the measurable points. So you'll see, like, look at his shirt here where there's blood pooling, right? You couldn't see that nearly as well in the colorized view. When you switch back to color, it's gone, right? So the value in this is, if you're looking at blood pattern analysis, pooling of blood, or anything like that, it picks it up really, really well. Another thing is like arson scenes with accelerant splash patterns and stuff. The LiDAR typically picks that up much better than any camera ever will. So it's nice to have both. The other cool part is, say you need to know the distance between this firearm, right, and this shoe, we'll just say, right? You can click on both points. It will tell you the exact measurement. So this is 5.218 feet between those two articles of evidence. All right. The other cool part is, if you're taking close-up photos, you can embed those photos directly into your scene.
There's your firearm.
There's your firearm with your scale bar. So you can drop and attach each piece of evidence's photo into the raw data, right? Into those measurable points too. If we look across at this other side, you're going to see a fly-through video that we've attached. So we created a fly-through video of this scene as well, and we just attached it to this data file. So now when that district attorney shows up to court, instead of flipping through a PowerPoint or flipping through a binder full of pictures and trying to explain it to a jury, they can go into one software like this. They can have all their photos attached. They can have their fly-through videos attached. All the measurements can be saved right in there. And if there's surveillance footage, maybe body cam, maybe it was an officer involved shooting and they have a body cam, you can drop that in here. And it's just a really easy way to bring it in and present it to a jury.
Can you show them that?
I can.
Okay. Now, though, before you move on, the white spot that we see currently on the screen there, could you explain to our subscribers what that is?
What white spot are we talking about?
It's like a white arcing.
Okay, I'm looking at a fly-through video right now.
Okay, it's a video. All right, good.
Yep. So are you guys not seeing the fly-through video?
No, we're seeing still.
Gotcha. Okay, let me try this real quick. I'm going to.
Hey, for those of you who are just joining, this is Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, and we have Luke Hall. He's a representative of Faro, public safety representative. He's a retired state police officer from Vermont, and he's here doing a demonstration on 3D laser scanning, and just fascinating stuff here. All right,
okay.
All right, gentlemen. The fly-through should be playing now.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so this is what I was talking about, where this file is embedded right into the data set that you saw before. And with the click of a button, it can bring them right through the scene as if they were there.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So
right
folks,
beyond this door is that crime scene.
So folks, you see those large circles that are on the ground? That was the position of the tripod for the scanner.
Okay, that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable.
And the little tripods with the little like ball on it, Scott, could you tell them what we're doing there with that?
Yep. So this, those were actually used with the Freestyle 2, that handheld scanner. that we have, because that was utilized on this scene as well. Those now no longer need to be used. This scene was scanned about 1.5 or 2 years ago, so it's a closed case. So it's a good one to show today. But now those little spheres aren't even needed in crime scenes.
It's these comments that are coming in are just like a lot of wows, very realistic, and this is as again, technology from a year or so ago. We've come a little bit further, and it continues to enhance as we move along. Correct, Luke?
That's correct. Yeah. Every year we have major improvements. We just released a couple of brand new scanners this year that are extremely fast, very precise, and super user friendly. So it's come a long ways.
And that's why you have to go for continuing education every year, because forensics evolves just like the life evolves, and you got to stay on top of the new technology.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So what we'd be looking at, in circling back to our Moscow, Idaho 4, this technology is going to give a bird's eye view of inside that crime scene. We know that the Idaho State Police, they arrived on the scene. That was the first phone call that the captain said and the police chief said they made. They knew that they needed the Idaho State Police and their crime lab. They came in, and more than likely, Ed, within the first 12 hours, did these laser scans and so forth?
Yeah, usually we want to do these first before we start moving anything. We do our photographs, and then we want to get the scans done right away, because we can't move anything until the scanner documents and measures everything. And so what they'll do is there's 3 floors. So they'll do individual floors, and they'll stitch them together to give you 3 floor plans, the ground floor, the first floor, the second floor, or, what people are calling the basement, the first floor, the second floor, third floor, whatever the case may be. And then, so they'll put these scanners in each of the rooms that were there and create these entire floor plans. So then you can do a 2-dimensional. You cut the ceiling off, and then you get your 2-dimensional diagram out of each of those floor plans. And then you can then go into a specific bedroom and enhance that and make it a larger 2-dimensional scale. And then you do a 3-dimensional walkthrough from the position of the height of somebody actually walking into the crime scene. And you can go up the stairs and open doors, go into rooms, and see exactly how the scanner captured everything.
Luke, do you have any other demonstrations that would show or depict that walking through, or is that something that you have to set up? Hey, I want to just go to the chat really quick as Luke gets that set up. Sue sends in a $5 super chat, and she says, "Best and most fascinating YouTube video I've ever seen." Thank you, Luke, for sharing this. You guys just let us know where you're watching from, your city, state, or country, so we can say hi to everybody. Lou Ann says, "You guys rock." Kimberly says, "This is incredible." Just lots of great positive comments coming in. Joey Brooklyn is here, and he says, "Thank you." Consistent is here. Tons of folks just chiming in. Debbie is here. She says, "Hi, DutyRon. Many hugs to all these wonderful folks."
A couple of people are asking how much it costs, Luke.
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
That's always the big question, right?
Yeah.
So Luke is he's got something fired up here. Do you want to walk the audience through before we show it? Do I have to put a disclaimer out there if anybody suffers from PTSD or any type of
no? So this particular one I'm going to show, because I think it's we talked about pre-incident planning before, and this is one of those examples. But also, I think it's a good depiction of a case that's not active, obviously, because I have a ton that are active that I can't share, and some that are a little bit too graphic. So this one is it's an elementary school at an actual fly in and a walk through of the facility, but it's a good depiction of what it could look like if there was an actual crime scene here.
All right, here we go.
Stand by. And here we go. So while this is playing, can you guys see this just to confirm?
Yeah, it's going.
Okay, great. So this is a school that I scanned in 7 hours, all by myself. Went with one Faro 3D laser scanner, and I attached a panel cam to the top of it, and I went through this entire school in 7 hours. You will see that I captured myself in a couple of the scans because I was scanning quickly and moving fast.
Right.
But it just shows the capabilities of, you could do, if I had 2 or 3 days in this school, I wouldn't have missed a millimeter of it, right? pretty incredible, though.
Yeah, we saw the reflection of you there.
Yeah, you'll see me on a couple walls because I was near
Yeah,
the
I see your
scanner.
feet there. It was look like a black image of you on the ground.
Well, I had one day of no travel, and I was like, I want to go scan the school today, so I spent my day and went flying through it.
And there's resolution settings in here that we can change as well. The higher the resolution, the slower the scan. Okay.
And this is the lowest resolution and quality that we offer right here, because it's fast scans. Each of these scans is a minute and a half, and I did 200 and some odd scans.
Wow. Now, when you're working in an actual crime scene and really time is not where you're not rushed, you could take, and this is also too why people say, well, why does it DutyRon? Why does it take 4 days or 3 days to process a crime scene? And in this Moscow, Idaho case, we're still holding on to the crime scene, but people wonder why these things take so long, and you have to do this right. And you have to get everything documented properly. So it does take time to be precise and to be, concise with what you're doing and accurate. So,
right. These scans here, this is not for court. This is not a crime scene investigation. Right. But, think of the benefit for this for emergency responders. So, you have an active shooter at the school, and they have the ability to say, okay, we know where we're going now. We know where this person is and what we got to do. And we have all that information.
And what we're starting to see now, going back to VR, you mentioned it before, we'll have SWAT teams or school resource officers putting on VR goggles back at the academy, and they're training together. They're training to respond to a potential shooter at the school or critical threat.
Absolutely. We have the course just like this, a VR course for active shooters in the Louisiana State University, where all we need is a gym. We'll take the officers, we give them their weapons, and we'll put them through a school like this, and they'll be walking down the halls as like the scans that you were just shown, and they'll interact with the bad guys in here.
Yeah, absolutely. Kathleen O'Rourke says, can you reenact the entire crime? AI and manual input. Thank you for that question. I'm not sure if they can reenact the entire crime, but they can take the scene and record everything within that scene, how it is when first responders respond to a crime scene.
But we can do reconstruction. Sometimes we can do shooting reconstruction, ballistic trajectories, and bloodstain pattern analysis. Luke, you want to touch a little bit more on that?
Yeah, absolutely. We try to stick to evidence-based, obviously, documentation, right? So animations are great, right? It gives a real life view to somebody of what it looked like in the moment when it happened, right? But if you're talking about blood spatter analysis or shooting reconstruction and all that stuff, obviously we need to be able to prove that in court. So we have a lot of tools at Faro with these 3D scanners that do allow you to document shootings and blood spatter, and then have evidence-based data that you can go present in court and get through a Dauber or a Fry hearing and ultimately a conviction.
So for those of you who don't know what a Daubert or a Fry hearing is, that's when typically the defense is challenging the science and trying to exclude the scans from getting into the actual case. And then the judge will make a decision based upon bringing in several experts to see if this technology is accepted within the forensic science community.
Yeah. Tasha, I want to say thank you for the super sticker, and also thank you to Kim M for the super sticker. Okie dokie says Ed owes me a beer.
Okay, why do I owe you a beer?
I don't know what kind of bet that is, but I would have to say Ed. If Ed was wrong, I would say this.
Oh hell no!
He's not. But yeah, so this technology, again, for the law enforcement going forward in and around crime scenes was what we're talking about here tonight on Forensic Friday. This is an invaluable tool, but this tool is probably not something that's cheap. I don't know if you want to get into cost and how this stuff is funded. Departments have budgets and so forth, and who's taken on to this quicker than these smaller police departments that have small budgets, and how are these things funded?
Yeah. So great question. Years ago, when this used to come out, 3D laser scanners were very expensive. Over the years, though, with advancing technology and better manufacturing and all that, prices come down a lot. We used to only see larger agencies, our feds and our state level agencies, very large police departments, the NYPD, Boston PD, things like that, picking up laser scanners. Now I regularly have 30 or 40 person departments purchasing 3D laser scanners because the price point has come down so much. Now, pricing in general, because this always comes up and it's important to talk about, an entire system, meaning the 3D laser scanner, all the software that you would need to run and do exactly what you just saw, you're talking $50,000 to $60,000 ballpark, right? Now, funding for a lot of agencies, that's a big nugget, right? That's a lot.
Yeah.
Now Faro offers grant assistance. So now we've teamed up with Lexpool and Police One. They have grant writers that are assigned to Faro and help our public safety partners find funding. So we can connect them. They have a meeting. They identify all the grants in that state that's applicable to that department, whether it be a fire department, police, whatever, and they'll help them write the grant for free. So we're seeing a lot more progress there, and a lot of agencies are securing solutions that way.
Now, my first laser scanner cost $126,000. And the price has come down so great. Now, Department of Homeland Security has grants for this. It's on the approved equipment list. The National Institute of Justice, Department of Justice has grants for this. The Department of Transportation has grants for this. And you would say, well, why would the Department of Transportation have a grant for this? Highway accidents, interstate commerce. You got to get the highways open quickly. So no better tool to measure everything at an accident, a fatality accident on a highway than this, because it'll get that highway open and the transportation of goods and services moving. Yeah. There's a lot of grants out there. NOAA has a grant for this. CDC has a grant. It's unbelievable who has grants for these things.
And I'll add to that too. What I'm seeing a lot, really over the last year too, is we have agencies coming together and making joint purchases. So regional crash reconstruction teams, county-wide crime scene units that go to any crime scene in that county. We're having agencies all come together, chip in $8,000 each. They buy one scanner, one solution, and they become a little special team. And they go process scenes together.
Right. And if one department needs it, they use it, and then they return it back to a central location, and then they know that they can go to it because, hopefully they're not having to use this stuff every day. You know what I mean? When they have their crime scenes or their major events, they go in and use it. And that's a great idea to do that. Pool the departments together and everybody absorbs the cost over 4 or 5 departments, and they can use it, or key counties, or however, these places are divided. I think that's a great idea, and you get this piece of intelligence into the hands of these departments, and it helps. And somebody said that I forget who it was in the chat, but justice should have no price tag, right?
So, that's a good line.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
But getting back to the case at hand, if this does go to trial, these potential jurors, if it's a jury trial, I don't know if they can choose a judge or a jury. In this case, in Idaho, in New York, the defendant has the right to choose either a judge or a jury. But anyhow, it allowed the jurors, if they're used, to virtually walk through the entire crime scene and see it as it was before it was disturbed.
I could look at this stuff all night. We're almost on to an hour.
Yeah, let's get to some questions.
Yeah, because we're hitting the 50-minute mark. There's Texas Angel, no price tag for justice. I found it. I might be old, but I'm not that bad. Let's look into the chat. Guys, use hashtag Luke, hashtag DutyRon, hashtag Ed, and direct your questions at us. It doesn't have to be by a super chat. Super chats do get highlighted, but if you have questions, just put in the hashtag and you got it. We'll answer it for you. Keep it related to the 3D laser scanner and the technology. But again, I wanted to play that initial piece that I played. It's only a minute and a half. I want to play it again for some of the new people. There's over 2,900, almost 3,000 people. You got one up on the screen, Ed, that you saw?
Yeah, Luke, you want to handle that?
Yeah. Oh, I love this question. This is great. So can you 3D print scan data? The short answer is yes. We do it every day. We just printed out crushed vehicles, right, with a 3D printer for a scaled model that you can then go into court and present to a jury, a scaled model of the actual crushed car that's there. With your guys' permission, I can show you the flyer on if you want.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me share it real quick. Just incredible detail on this particular car that we scanned. And
you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
So this vehicle was scanned in, I believe, 3 minutes and 40 seconds with the Freestyle 2 handheld laser scanner. It was brought into our software process, registered in 20 minutes-ish. And this was brought into a 3D printer later, and a scaled model was printed.
Wow.
Okay. Now, one of our viewers is asking, is Faro an acronym?
It is. It was, I would have to look up. The founders ended up using part of their last names and part of their company. I don't know the acronym off the top of my head, though. But yes.
Outstanding. If you guys don't mind, I want to show that video again because people are asking to see it. And in that video, it actually showed the actual scanner. I know you have it right right behind you right there.
Yep.
But I do want to show this piece because sometimes people want to just get a quick peek at what we're talking about. I'm going to play it. It's just a minute and a half. So let's let this roll, and then we'll go right back to the questions. So keep your questions. # Luke, # Ed, # Ron.
Footprint right here by the door.
A murder scene typically so frenzied, so complex.
If you get them the right direction,
Clues literally everywhere.
you have some blood transfer by the window.
At this mock crime scene at Florida International University's Global Forensic and Justice Center outside Tampa, police, military, and students learn the intricacies of preserving and processing a homicide.
A large number of cartridge cases here.
They also learn about this 3D imaging that can take what would be a simple crime scene photo and replace it with this, a movable 3D model, enshrining minute details forever.
So if we're talking about LiDAR scanning,
The reason I wanted to play this, Luke, is because the image quality on this compares to what we were showing. I know you said, it can all be tweaked, but for what they showed here, what Faro showed here was pretty remarkable, I thought, the detail. And this is from Newsnation. So
yeah, you can really capture amazing detail on scenes. It's just the more scans and the better data you get, the better representation you get later in the software.
so they call it 3D imaging because it gives you a 3D representation of the room.
The Forensic Center's Deputy Executive Director, Kevin Lothridge, has investigators trained with a handheld Faro brand scanner. It takes rapid laser measurements, creating an interactive 360-degree image that's even admissible in court.
It's really good for large outdoor crime scenes, good for vehicle crashes, good for shooting reconstruction. If you're trying to look at a room where people are positioned and evidence is positioned, it allows you to do a little bit more than just videotape or photography.
To be clear, this isn't just 360-degree spherical photography that you see for a real estate tour or on tourism sites. Forensic 3D imaging takes not only pictures, but countless measurements each second.
Thousands, like millions of points are taken in a point cloud.
Crime scene investigations professor Stephen Stockman says the technology can take detectives back in time, helpful when the overlooked becomes critical.
That piece of evidence that you didn't see that was significant is now in the point cloud here a year later. How far away is that from the victim's hand? And you can literally go into the software and click to the index finger of the victim to the exact piece of evidence, and then you'll get the exact measurement down to the millimeter.
fascinating. I wanted to show that because, I thought that was a great piece that they put out there. Some questions that were coming into the chat. I saw a ton of them. Ed was answering them under my account name. So, because he signed in under my account on YouTube. Fascinating hours, time. Luke, will you be able to come back at some time and join us again to revisit this on some of our other cases that we cover?
Absolutely. Anytime you need me.
Yeah.
Do we have time for a few more questions?
Absolutely. I'm not ending it. I just want to solidify Luke's commitment.
All right. And people are asking, Luke, if you have your own YouTube channel.
So I do not yet. I'm headed there, but Faro is keeping me very busy. So I do anticipate doing some videos in the future, and it'll be on a wide variety of topics. But yeah,
here's to Luke's YouTube future.
Okay. All right. Step away from the Faro. Okay, Luke, how about this question?
Oh shit!
What was the difference between the laser scanner and LiDAR?
Gotcha. Okay, so so I think I saw it before it went off the screen for me, but basically, Faro 3D laser scanners is LiDAR, right? But it's a combination of laser scanner technology, LiDAR, and also the high def photos. And it combines them together, or it overlays the photos with those individual data points to give you that colorized 3D rendering of that scene.
Well, here's another question. Well, I thought I had a question here. Detective Wallace, so would these scenes be used at the trial instead of the autopsy photos? Typically autopsy photos are kind of fought over between the defense attorney and the prosecutor because they may be prejudicial to a jury, given the nature. So a lot of times, there will be crime scene photos that are still taken, even though the Faro takes its own photos, but there will be 35 millimeter camera photos taken, and those photos will be gone over between the defense and the prosecutor as to which ones will be utilized in the court with the judge's permission and so forth. And they'll come to an agreement. There'll be objections and they'll fight over what's going to get in and what's not getting in. But typically these will get in. These scans will get in.
Consistent Insomniac, thank you for the $5 super chat. We're just trying to keep the questions on topic of what we're talking about, but she's making some reference to the perpetrator here about his eyes and so forth. Annette Spencer says, amazing. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Thank you, great guys and great conversation. Hey, we all thank you for that. And Tasha Rosa sends in a super sticker. Thank you, Tasha. And Kim M2. I think I already said thank you to you, but just wanted to make sure. Ed, someone's asking if you teach about this at in the university justice courses.
Yes, we use the scanners in our training, and we teach crime scene investigators to map their crime scenes with the Faro.
Right. Okie dokie, who's a smarty pants, says, FYI, fittingly, Faro isn't just an acronym for Fraser and Rab Orthopedics, but a derivative of an ancient Greek word, Faro, meaning lighthouse. There you go.
I like it.
Excellent. Thank you, okie dokie.
All right. Let's see right here. Luke, can the software be installed in a home camera?
In a home camera, huh? No. So the software, you would bring the 3D scanner data into it. It would process that data, and then it will create a shareable file that anybody can access on any device, but not on your own camera.
Yes, the software is on a laptop, and you take the scans to the laptop, and then you work it up. That's the back end. The front end is the scans, and then the back end is the software that turns it into the 2-dimensional, the 3-dimensional, the walk through the models, and so forth. Okay, let's see what else we got it here. Any other questions? I'm looking through. Luke, it says, hey, this one, I'll put this up here. Luke, I admire and respect this technology. Is this a special scanner, or can a novice use other equipment?
Good question. Like it. No. So Faro is known for it being very user-friendly, especially compared to other solutions that are potentially out there. It is designed to be simple. So the way I like to explain it when I'm teaching people is almost anybody can just scan a scene, because you set it up and you put in your project number, you pick your setting and you hit go and you walk away, right? Anybody can scan. The software, you'll need to go through the Faro training certification course to learn the software and learn how to bring these scenes together and create these amazing fly-through videos and scene to goes and stuff like that.
Okay, Kathleen asked Luke, she's getting cloud confused. We're not pushing this information to a cloud. The cloud is the measurements, the dots of individual measurements that maybe also known as a raster. Is that what you call it to, Luke? Rasta
Say that again.
cloud.
Sorry.
She's confusing.
Yeah, I get what she's saying. She's thinking that we're pushing it to the cloud. So
Yeah.
that is the future of this technology. We're going that way. It's going to happen, right? However, right now, it is the way that I think about it or explain it is when this scanner's working, it's capturing 2 million measurements or points per second, and it's creating a cloud of points around it, all the way around, right, to create this model. But if we take 10 scans, it's going to be 10 separate clouds that all need to come together to create one point cloud is what they call it. Now, that data stays in our computer and in the scanner right now. Eventually, you can push it to the actual cloud, like the feds might use it. Say they have a homicide in Idaho and the FBI goes out to scan it. They could send that data through the cloud back to Quantico to process it. We're just waiting on the correct security measures, meaning like FedRAMP or whatever process they want, CGIS compliant. That is the future, though.
Wow.
Karen, they did scan this crime scene in Idaho.
Yeah, this is what I mean by, Karen, thank you so much for that, because it's a good question. But people come in and join the show in all different parts. And that's why I played that redundantly. Again, I played that first piece. I'm doing it for the advantage of the folks that are just coming in and joining us. And Karen, I'm sure if you were listening earlier on, you would have heard that we said that this technology, in fact, we're not sure if the Faro scanner was used, but we know that 3D laser scans were done at this location. And more than likely, it was used because Newsnation went and put that piece out there. I'm sure they did their due diligence and looked into what technology was used, and they put out a whole piece on it. Katina says, amazing how an murder scene scanned. Amazing how an intact murder scene scanned can be used to explain visually the evidence and criminal act to a jury.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Luke, you get a little praise here. Just want to let you know how absolutely amazing you are and going to save many children's lives soon and bring more justice for the victims and families. Thank you for your service.
Thank you so much. And that is honestly, if we can prevent crimes from happening and protect our children, that's what we got to do, right? So if we can use advanced technologies to do it, that's what we're here for. So that's a huge goal of mine, and I know it is for Faro too. So more to come.
100%.
How do you know if your law enforcement has it? Well, give them a call. It's not top secret information, you get, or, they might have it on their website, what their scene investigation capabilities are.
Here's a good one. This one's for you, Ed. I want you to read this.
I'll stop. Thank you, Christian.
I think we covered a lot here. Again, this technology is being used across the United States, across the country, but also across the world, as Luke said. I am linking Luke's email directly. If you have questions, again, if you're business or you have interest in these products, email him. I'll link it at you gave us permission, so I'm going to link it in the description. I'll link to the website as well. But if you are thinking, or your department is thinking of purchasing or looking into purchasing this stuff, Luke would be more than happy to talk with you anytime. This is my good friend from upstate New York, Larry. He is a great guy. He's on YouTube. He's got a YouTube channel, Just Larry. Check him out sometime. He says, DutyRon for governor. Sign me up. Yeah, I don't think so. Annette sends in, and that's not Annette Funicello, by the way. That's Annette 123. Oh wait, Annie 123. She sends in a super sticker. Thank you for that. And I think we're ready to wrap. Ed, listen, I want to give final words to our guest first, if you could. Again, we're talking about the King Road homicides and this technology in relation to crime scene evidence collection, presentation for a jury. If you could just give a little bit, maybe just a little bit of final words here.
Yeah, I'll say that first off, thanks for allowing me to come on today, guys. Anything that anybody needs, feel free to reach out, whether it be on my LinkedIn account, Luke Hall on LinkedIn, or luke.hall@faro.com. You can reach me both there. Happy to help out with anything, any questions you all have. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you for coming on and educating our audience.
Yes, this has been Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, Forensic Friday. We're here with Luke Hall from Faro Public Safety and Forensics. I want to say thank you to everyone who joined, everyone who watched the replay, all the super chatters, the replay viewers, you guys who watch the replay and leave us comments down below in the comment section. You guys mean a lot to us because the engagement after the show is equally as important as our conversation here during the live. All of the information that we talked about here will be linked in the description of this video. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok, all one word, DutyRon. And we'll see you on our next live stream. As I always like to end these things, God bless the world, God bless the United States of America, and God bless each and every one of us here in the chat. But especially these crime victims, these 4 victims and their families. They need us now more than ever. Let's send them strength, prayers, and positive vibes. And on behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed, we'll talk to you soon. Ed, I know you like to say one final thing before we go.
Yes, folks, thanks for sharing another Forensic Fridays. Remember what I always say, stay safe, stay prepared, and watch your 6.
Thank you, Luke. We'll see
Thank
you
you guys. We'll see ya.
Peace.
Stay on.